Chapter 6. Lots of Money and a Painful Memory. It was 1923. The children were on their way home from school, laughing and chasing each other around the trees in Rotermund Park. A red squirrel, its tail raised like a flag, watched them from the upper branches, darting higher still when the children came too close to its tree. A man entered the park with a barrow full to the brim with banknotes. He wheeled it towards the children. They stopped their playing and stared as he took bundles of money in his hands and threw them into the air. Suddenly it seemed to be snowing money all round them. "Here, children, have some money. Take it all." Laughing wildly, he tossed more and more into the air. Now the children were scrabbling in the grass and dirt for hundreds of banknotes, convinced that here was a very generous man who just wanted to help the poor orphans. Take it all, little children." They stuffed their pockets and pinafores with the paper hoard until they noticed that now the man was crying with great gulping sobs, and tears were coursing down his face. He tipped the last of the money onto the grass and turned away from them, wheeled his barrow back across the park and out of the gates. "He must be a madman," Hans said, "but I don't care now that we're rich. We'd better disappear before he changes his mind." Ruth, Hans and the other children ran to the children's home as fast as they could, looking over their shoulders to see if the madman was coming back to claim his money. "I suppose we'd better tell one of the aunts," said one of the girls. Hans thought it was a stupid idea, but soon realized that nobody would believe they hadn't stolen it, so eventually he gave in. Strangely, the house mother just looked at them sadly and said, "Poor man, the money is worthless, children. He couldn't even buy a loaf of bread with it. He must have been quite a rich man once, but now the poor fellow's wheelbarrow is worth more than all those notes put together." Outings by Straßenbahn are rare but eagerly anticipated treats for the boys and girls who live in the children's home. So it's a pleasant surprise for Ruth and Hans when they were told that the following day they are to go by Straßenbahn to visit the Dresdner Krankenhaus, Dresden Hospital. "Helga will go with you because she lives in that direction. She will tell you where to get off the tram. You must go in the front door of the hospital and someone, let's see, yes, a Frau Beck will meet you there." Why are we going there? Neither of them have ever visited a hospital before. Were they going to visit sick people? Perhaps Mutti was sick and had asked to see them. "Oh, they will show you around. Make sure you're good children. When they say you can leave, you must go to the nearest tram stop and catch the first tram back to Gruna. Do you understand?" "Yes, Tante Frieda." The trams of Dresden travel over a network of lines that link each part of the city to the centre. As they run along their rails, they whine and creak as if in pain. The children pay the conductor with some of the coins they were given and sit opposite Helga, a young woman who helps occasionally in the children's home. She watches them as the tram trundles through the streets. They're looking excitedly out of the windows, pointing out the passing houses and people. She sighs deeply and pats Ruth on her knee. "You stop," she says presently, and presses the bell. "Viel Glück." Good luck. The hospital is near to the tram stop. Ruth feels responsible for her brother and leads the way. Hans is hanging back a little. "I don't want to go in there." "Well, Hans, you know we must do as Tante Frieda said. And anyway, Frau Beck will be waiting for us. It's not polite to keep her waiting." Hans drags his feet as they enter the big hospital doors. There are nurses in uniforms with starched white headdresses bustling past them along the corridor. "Excuse me, please." Nobody hears or stops to speak to them. Ruth tries a little louder. "Excuse me, please." One of the nurses turns and looks at them. Yes, what do you want? We're supposed to meet Frau Beck here. Yes. Wait there a moment. I'll find her. Stay exactly where you are, children. After a few minutes, a robust nurse with her sleeves rolled up above her elbows comes striding towards them. You are Ruth and Hans Schmidt from the children's home? Yes. Come with me. They're shown into a room where a man in a white coat is sitting at a desk, writing. In the corner is a high bed covered with a brown rubber sheet. Here are the orphans from the children's home, Herr Doctor. Get them ready, nurse. Which is the older of you two? I am, Frau Beck. Hans is my little brother. Then you will go first, child. You, boy, wait outside on one of the chairs. Now, climb up there onto the bed, girl. Why, I am not tired. The doctor and nurse exchange smiles. Just do as you are told, young miss. Ruth climbs onto the uncomfortable bed. The nurse makes her lie down and puts a cover over her, right up to her neck. Now, lie there and be still. Another nurse enters the room and comes over to her, a pretty girl with soft blue eyes. She strokes Ruth's hair with delicate fingers. Then Ruth sees the doctor coming towards her. He has a scissor-like object in his hand. Suddenly, she feels afraid. Before she can move, Frau Beck has pinioned her arms to her side. As she struggles to free herself, the hefty woman leans her whole weight against Ruth's little body. Ready, nurse? The doctor is leaning over the wriggling child, his hand with its shiny instrument poised above Ruth's head. The pretty nurse suddenly grabs Ruth's nose and holds it fast so that she can't breathe. As she opens her mouth to take a gasp of air, the doctor's hand shoots forward. There's a crunching, grinding sound in her head and a sudden searing pain in her throat. She tastes blood. She doesn't remember the rest, where they put her while they do the same operation on her beloved brother. But it's not long before they're sent out onto the street. You can go home now. Both of them hold their mouths shut against the blood and pain. They wait white-faced and trembling for the tram to Gruna to arrive. Shakily climbing on board, Ruth offers her fare to the conductor. Well, where to, girl? Ruth can't speak. What are you, some kind of moron? He jeers. Where are you going, girl? You, boy, answer me. They look at him dumbly. He laughs and addresses the people on the tram. We've got a right pair of idiots here. A woman sitting just inside the tram has been watching them closely. Take their money and leave those children alone, she commands. Can't you see they are in some difficulty? Her voice softens as she said, Sit here beside me, my dears. Are you going to Gruna? Ruth nods. Tears of pain trickle from the corners of her eyes. She can't sob. It would hurt too much. There you are, 2 children's tickets to Gruna. Now leave them alone, my good man. No one took us there. No one stayed with us and took us home. Nobody told us what would happen. It was a shock, you see, to have your tonsils taken out like that. There was no anesthetic, no painkillers. I suppose it was because we had no family. Nobody cared about us. Or perhaps the children's home just couldn't afford anesthetic. I don't know. But it was an awful thing to do to a child. It was terrible. Terrible. Ruth lies in her narrow bed in the girls' dormitory, her throat a raging fire. Sleepless, she watches through eyes blurred with tears, the dim glow coming through the tall windows, where a million stars twinkle cold and oblivious in the night sky. There is another pain, even worse than the burning in her throat. Her chest is tight with the ache of betrayal, of being unloved, of being alone. Into the sleeping room, her lips form a silent word weighted with need.
party?